This is a documentary film on the Ching Ming Festival in Meizhou, China. The Ching Ming Festival is a festival of paying homage to one's ancestors. It is a yearly event twice a year, once in the spring and once in the autumn. The Ching Ming Festival is important because without the ancestors, there is no you. So, ancestral worship is a very key element in the culture. Meizhou is located on the eastern tip of Guangdong province, which is approximately a 6-hour drive from Hong Kong. The flight is about 30 minutes, however, as you can see, the weather was very bad, and because of delays, it was a 5.5-hour journey. There is one flight per week from Hong Kong to Meizhou, and this plane was even then only a quarter full, filled with mostly Hakka people. Meizhou is the capital of Hakka people. The Hakka are China's nomadic people who are constantly searching for better places to live for the next generation. The Ching Ming Festival brings Hakka people from all around the world. The Hakka language and culture is a shared identity that binds these people together and brings them to a central location from places such as the United States, Australia, Brazil, UK, and even places in Africa such as Egypt and South Africa. Despite the weather, our arrival was a calm one. We were met by the Gold Line Company car and driver after an extensive customs and visa check. Gold Lion is a Chinese men's executive fashion brand founded by Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang hosted us for 4 days while we spent time with the festival. Here we see a provincial head of Meishan, Agyu, Mr. Zhang's assistant, and his personal nurse in the pink. Mr. Zhang gifted us with a signed copy of his biography. Here, Mr. Zhang is welcomed by members of his old village. Young, old, farmers and businessmen alike, all come to greet him as he steps out of his car. He is presented with flowers, gifts, and gongs. Soon, his entrance is accompanied by firecrackers, a very common celebration tradition. Mr. Zhang is lifted over the step, guarding the compound from evil ghosts, and into the outside courtyard. This type of house is a Wei Long house, which means surrounding dragon. It is a traditional Hakka villager/farm style housing complex, semicircular in design, with high walls accompanied by a frontal body of water. Multiple families and generations all live in this house. We walk into the first courtyard where people are preparing for the initial prayer. This is a community event where chatter and handshakes and smiles are all around. Notice here how the eldest and most important individuals and related family members are in the center. We will see now how Mr. Zhang leads the prayer. This prayer is to the heavens, and this being a farming village, the heavens play a very important role because the heavens bring the rain, and the rain brings prosperity to the community. Notice how Mr. Zhang's incense is the longest and the thickest. This is a high honor as he is the most influential man associated with this community. Also notice how all the following individuals do not place their incense directly in front of or behind Mr. Zhang's. The first prayer was to the heavens, and so now it is time to say their prayers to the ancestors. So the table is picked up, spinned around, and individuals gather around the back once again to make the initial second prayer. We can see both artistic renderings as well as photographs of some of the ancestors. The man in the middle was actually the one to build this house. The offerings on the table consist of fruits, buns, and meats. The buns represent prosperity, while the fruits represent life. The three types of offerings are known as Samsang Zaiban: fish, pork, and chicken. Also, notice how there is a trinity of incense, of the three main incense. This represents the trinity of heaven, hell, and mankind. Here is the birthplace of Mr. Zhang. His siblings and his eldest son Jimmy were also born here. On the wall is pictures of all of his family members. During each festival, Mr. Zhang spends about 20 to 30 minutes in this room paying a reminiscing homage to the memories of his mother and his life before he started his company. Here we can see the initial preparations of the feast to come. Tables are set up with all the placements already being set. Now we step outside once again to begin the hike to the first grave where the direct ancestor will be worshipped. We can see the aftermath of the firecrackers, which will most likely be cleaned up by the women of the community. Stepping over the threshold, we begin following the clang of the ceremonial gongs. The chefs are cooking the banquet food using outdoor kitchen as for the later feast. Our first steps through the village is like taking a step into history, to a past era of a farming village. The buildings are over 150 years old and mostly original. The structures, the walls, even the roof tiles are original, which are perfect examples of the astounding quality of Hakka craftsmanship. Here we are approaching the first grave. All the villagers are already there, including Mr. Zhang. Notice here how the offerings are identical to those at the house. We will see later an important difference in this special prayer, however. The structure of the grave is in accordance to feng shui, which is a highly important factor. The size of the grave reflects the importance of the individual. This one is to the grandfather, who, although died at a very young age, is still a very important member of the family. He died in 1944 at only 6 years old. He died of diabetes, which at that time was a terminal illness. Mr. Zhang is once again in front and center leading the prayer. In the background, you can see the golden boxes, which will actually be gifts to the ancestors. They will later be incinerated, and that is the way that the ancestors are able to receive them. Similar procedures as to the previous prayers are followed, such as the incense and the bows. In the background, we can see Mr. Chang being introduced to local village leaders and government men. Being a very important and influential member of the community, many people are desperate to make his acquaintance. Here, Mr. Zhang is touching and holding each of the offerings, as this action ensures the energy is blessed into the offering for the ancestors. The offerings will then be burnt on site. This action enables the ancestors to actually receive them in the afterlife.
So he died in 1944.
Wow.
So when he was only 6.
Here, the gifts are about to be burnt. The gifts consist of clothing, material goods, but most importantly, it consists of the paper money. This paper money is called Hell's Banknote, and each of the banknotes is not tens or hundreds, but thousands, tens of thousands, and even $1 million notes. The act of burning enables the ancestors to receive these offerings, as it is understood that it is a spiritual experience, having the essence of the gifts and the energy from Mr. Zhang that was put into them to float upwards and be received. In the prayer, Mr. Zhang asks how the ancestors are doing and asks them to keep well in the afterlife.
It's Chinese belief that if there's something, money or whatever,
It goes to the
they'll receive it. It's a way of, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But they believe that.
This elderly lady is actually over 100 years old, but she still is doing very, very well. Here we're prepared to take the left road, however, the man calls us over and says the other way is faster. We then follow him towards the sound of the gongs. We're back to following the gongs to the second grave site. This is the site of the grandmother. As we can see here, the armchair grave is much larger, which means that the individual is of very high significance. Like the other one, it's built inside of a mountain and has high feng shui. Despite his health problems, Mr. Zhang continues to brave the beating sun and leads the prayer once again. Here, red packets are handed out to family, friends, and business partners. These packets contain money. Each member gets a different amount of money in relation to their relationship with Mr. Zhang. Children are quite shy.
今天好啊。哎，你把生意好好了，哎，奶奶都炖了，哎，好啊。生意好好了，奶奶都炖了，哎。哎，冇嘢。哎，阿媽你快冇？不好意思嘛。蠻好嘅對。打工快啲事啊！做工大啊！你最係唔知啫，見埋啲白工所以見。哦。
Search for a better shot, I decided to climb up the side of the hill and notice a very interesting contrast between modern development and traditional lifestyle. Now we finally arrived to the much anticipated feast. I tried to open the packet for the provincial head, but he decides to do it himself. The food starts to come in. Everything tastes absolutely wonderful, and the individuals that I'm with are very keen to make sure that I have a pleasant experience. Galo here means dog meat, and however I was anticipating to try it. However, in fear of offending me, the provincial head told everybody to not eat it. He was worried that I may be offended as a Western individual with the dog meat. Nobody touched the dish, and everyone had some tense feeling until the dish was taken away. There was a happy buzz around the entire village. Most of the food was very traditional Hakka style cuisine, and everything tasted wonderful. We had beef, shrimp, squid, pork, chicken, and amongst other things as well. Everything was delicious, and the company was wonderful. Overall, it was a fantastic trip with fantastic people.